We are about to start our driver media availability for Championship Saturday here at Phoenix Raceway, and we're joined by the driver of the number 60 RFK Racing Ford, and that's Ryan Preece. Ryan, thanks for joining us early this morning. Maybe just kick us off talking about how your 2025 season went and how you feel going into the finale.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, I'm excited on how we're finishing the season. When we didn't make the playoffs, and a lot of people usually talk about trying different things and kind of throwing away the final 10 races to find a direction for 2026. But I'm proud and happy that we kept trying to build on momentum, and I feel like the past 4 races we've just continued to build that, and one like Martinsville was really strong, and I've just really enjoyed my time here at RFK and the opportunity, between having Kroger and Celsius on the car this weekend. It's been a lot of fun. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to 2026 and all the things that we can accomplish.
Well, thank you, Ryan. If you have a question, we'll get Mike to you. We'll start here with John and then go to Jerry and work around the room.
John, Newbie Fan Buzz, I have 2 questions for you. First off, how many rolls of industrial shrink wrap did you use yesterday?
3. It was pretty good. I mean, good luck. I don't even think he's on his way here yet, because there's one more thing that he might find out this morning. But it was 3 rolls, and I really want to. I wish somebody could get a video of him trying to cut it off.
Admirable. And then looking at practice yesterday, obviously, with your experience saving tires, all the stuff that we saw with the flat tires, did that just appear to be people being too aggressive with air pressures, and do you anticipate any problems during the race itself?
Yeah, I mean, that's just teams and all that trying to push the limits. And, So, yeah, I think it's just pushing limits. And do I think there's going to be problems in the race? I mean, that's on how aggressive you want to be. It's also not going to be good if you blow a tire and wreck yourself out of the race. So I think there's a fine line, and we as drivers and teams, we know what that line is.
We'll go to Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. So you talked about your high points, but where were the low points or the turning points for you where you learned something that you were able to take forward and going forward?
I feel like every week is a process and learning those things. And for us, I felt like we had some pretty good moments early on in the season, and certainly we're really consistent. But for our group, the 60 team, it was trying to find how can we go from being consistently finishing in the top 10 and being a part of the conversation to being faster and running top 5 and doing those things. And I guess Las Vegas about 3-4 weeks ago was one that I started to find what I'm looking for, and Derek and the guys are doing a great job on giving it to me. So I feel confident. We're heading down a path and one that I'm excited about. And I mean it's all really good stuff. So for me, I've been grinding at this for 6 years, right? And sometimes you got to keep fighting and swinging, and I'm glad that this has been the opportunity that I've been really looking for, and have a great group of guys. When we talk about it, this team really didn't come together until mid-January, and for how it's developed and the teamwork and all those things, it's been truly amazing to be a part of.
And also, Chris seemed to indicate that it was even. Y'all were truce. Y'all were good. So is this something? Obviously, it's not, because you've got something planned. But how far do we go with this?
I mean, it just depends if he wants to keep going. But when he got me the first time and the second time, that's when I knew. When you get me, I'm going to get you really bad. So it doesn't matter. It's almost like if you ram me on the track, I'm going to make sure I get you pretty good. So same thing goes with pranks. I'm sure you'll hear from him.
Go in the back here.
Noah Reed, Kenny Wallace Media. Ryan, you made an appearance on the NASCAR Weekly podcast a couple weeks ago where you had your super late model in the background. I know you posted, I believe it was last December, that prep for the 2025 Snowball Derby started. all the way back then. How's the prep going, and how are you feeling for 25 Derby?
For the Derby, I'm excited. I actually just fired it up last week before Martinsville, and for me, having our son and all the things throughout the year, it has taken me. Usually, when I get a race car, I'll put it together in 3-4 weeks. Like I just constantly think about it and thrash on it. This one, I picked the chassis and the body up in mid-December, and it took all the way until middle of September, October to get it prepared to where it could be fired. And but yeah, no, I mean, once the season's over, I am ready to be in my race shop and finishing setting it up and getting ready to go test down there in 2-3 weeks. So yeah, I'm excited about it because as a race car driver, I think you guys follow along. You see some, they like to play golf, they like to go do different things away from racing. Racing's my golf game. Like typically if it's racing a modified, racing a super late model, it doesn't matter what it is, where it is. It's something I enjoy doing as well as working on the race cars and building them. And I enjoy it. So it's going well. How the Snowball Derby is going to go, I'm not entirely sure yet because, in the past, I've had Chris Gabehart help me as the crew chief. He's a really great super late model driver and crew chief as well. And I'm planning on going down with a group of my friends as well as people that I trust and I like racing with. And I'm going to, make the best calls that I can on my race car to make it drive good.
Go over here on the left.
Brian Twining, Besburst Media Group. Ryan, statistically, you're having your best career season here in NASCAR, but it also seems like you're having the most fun you've ever had. So why exactly has your joining RFK clicked the way that it has, and what do you attribute most to your success this year?
Yeah, so for me, in the past, what I had to be as a race car driver was essentially not a crew chief, but I had to micromanage everything outside of driving the race car. And I feel like, in the final 10, 12 races last year, I came to terms that as much as I was trying to help, I was doing more harm. So coming into the 2025 season, I said, okay, well, I'm going to focus on the things I need to focus on as a race car driver and trust that the people around me are going to make great decisions and give me great race cars, and I'll be able to go show what I'm capable of. So a change in mindset was probably a big piece of that, as well as, coming over to RFK and seeing what, Brad's been able to help build and continue to build back up of what we can be. We're all frustrated. We didn't make the playoffs, but I feel like there's a ton of potential between all three of us. And, I'm excited for that. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was probably a change in mindset as well as a great group of, people that came together and are working on accomplishing a goal. So that's probably the biggest thing I can give you.
We'll go to Wolfgang.
Wolfgang Monzer from German Rennsport Press. I have a technical question for you. You're racing here, not you, but all the NASCAR guys several times for many years in Phoenix and other racetracks as well. In principle, can you look back to data from last year, 2 years, 3 years ago, and is this helpful to set up your cars? Or when you're coming here this weekend, you start from zero again?
Yeah, so that goes back to the part in where I was talking about. I try to stay out of the setup conversations and some of those discussions. What I'll say is, I've been a fan of what Goodyear's been doing with their tire. So as we change, I'm sure the setup has to evolve with that. And how you choose to drive the race throughout the course of the run changes as well. So, as much as, yes, you could continue to take previous races and kind of use that as a baseline, you also have to be willing to adapt and change.
Okay, we'll take three more. We'll go to Zach, Holly, and then wrap with Dustin.
Zach Albert, NASCAR.com. What's the biggest thing you learned about Brad Keselowski in year one at RFK?
So I didn't know Brad's his entire story, and it's one that I've grown to appreciate. I think the biggest thing that opened my eyes to him is he's a forward thinker. He's not complacent. He's always looking to continue to improve all aspects of the company. It doesn't matter if it's the race cars, the marketing, or the hospitality side. He's a forward thinker, and that's a huge part if you want to be successful on and off the track in racing. So that's surprised me a lot. Very, very hands-on.
Holly?
Hi, Ryan. Holly Kane with the Nascar Wire Service. And my question had kind of been asked, but you're not just having a better season than you've had before. You're exponentially, certainly in your top tens. And you say that it's something, that you changed the mindset. What is the mindset you changed to? I mean, what would you attribute to doing exponentially better this year?
So my background is modified racing, and what I'll tell you is there's always been some things that I feel like I excel at. Passing race cars is one of them, and that comes from where I'm from in Connecticut. We have a handicap system each week where if I win one week, I cannot start ahead of 15th the next, and you have to find your way to get to the front. So there's strengths that I've had, and there's weaknesses that I've also worked on for myself to make them better. But, to the flip side, Ryan Preece from 2008 to 2015 was a different race car driver than Ryan Preece was in 2016 to essentially the mindset now. And that was because, when I was racing part-time with modifieds, I was racing for a guy. He hired me. I was full-time on the race cars. I was the crew chief. I was the driver. I was everything. And that was a mindset that I kind of got stuck in for a while, where I was very integrated into the setup, into the air pressures, into everything it made everything that it took to make that car go around the racetrack. And the problem was, in my eyes, when I got to this level, there's people here for that. I don't need to micromanage that. When I was racing my modified, it was there was a plumber, there was an HVAC guy, there was a buddy who runs a concrete or an asphalt plant. They were racers. They enjoyed racing. They were volunteers, but this wasn't their job. So it was my job, and it was my job to manage all of that. Well, when I came here, that's not my job. My job is not to manage the crew chief, the engineer, the tire guy, every aspect of that race car. My job is to drive the race car. And I think changing, the mindset and, obviously trusting the people around me that they're gonna give me a great race car, because that's what it takes. This is truly a team sport. As much as, we get a lot of credit, we have to make the great decisions on the racetrack. You got to navigate traffic, you got to execute, you got to do all of those things, but it takes an entire team to go out and succeed.
I'll wrap with Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Hey, Ryan, last night's Truck Series race, we saw for Corey Heim in the number one stall having troubles getting out, and Scott Zipadelli talked about how slick some of the stalls were on pit road. As somebody who's raced here and been on various pit stalls, what are the pit stalls like? Do you notice a slickness, and what are the challenges for you to be able to, if so, to be able to get out of your box cleanly and not get held up?
Well, I think having the advantage of that stall, you don't have to worry about coming, Typically you don't have to worry about exiting out of somebody. But, yeah, there is certain stalls, I think, that are more of a challenge to get in and out of. I've noticed that, at this track there is definitely an advantage to be in other places. But I still think, stall number one here is probably a massive advantage. But, yeah, I mean, there's throughout the entire schedule, there's tracks that it is difficult to get in and out of the boxes, and then there's other tracks that it's just, it's easy. There's a punch grip. So that's just one of the challenges that, the team, the pit crew, and the drivers, that's what we face every week.
So it's not uniform, like a certain track isn't. It's all slick. It's all dependent on each stall is very different.
It's very much, you can kind of look at, when racetracks are paved. I've noticed this at my short track racing level is you go to the Northeast, the grip in the asphalt is different than you go in the Southeast. You know what I mean? And how they pave it and whatever materials they use to lay it down. I don't know all the details of it, but I can tell you I could feel a difference depending on which part of the country I'm in, the grip level that the car has.
All right, Ryan, I appreciate your time, and good luck tomorrow. Thank you. Okay, good morning, everybody.